Hi, we're about to discuss the second and third causes of the Great Depression. Remember, the Great Depression is not only caused by the stock market crash, speculation, and buying on margin. There are also additional factors that lead to the Great Depression, and we're going to discuss those too. The second and third causes are consumer debt and the Federal Reserve. So by the end of this video, you should be able to explain those two causes and compare and contrast the prosperity of the 20s with the depression of the 30s and how it got there. So remember from our progressive era unit that the Federal Reserve was established in 1913 and it was a central bank, so a bank controlled by the federal government. And its purpose was to protect the money supply and the economy in the United States. So some duties of the Federal Reserve are to set interest rates and actually produce and control the amount of money in circulation. So some other causes of the Great Depression. The Federal Reserve was a brand new institution. I mean, if you think about it, only in its teenage years. So teenagers often don't have very much experience in life. So the Federal Reserve didn't really know exactly what was going on. So during this time period, the Federal Reserve kept the interest rates very, very low. And this threw off companies because companies kept borrowing more and more money because it was really cheap to do that, and they kept expanding even more and more, creating more products and buying more machinery to build those products. Now, this tricked those businesses into thinking that the economy was still growing. So this leads to overproduction. Companies start making more goods than there is a demand for, so they cannot sell their goods. But why aren't people buying these goods, right? What leads to this overproduction? The first thing that leads to this is the installment plan of the 1920s. Remember, consumerism is on the rise in the 20s, and people are buying new products such as the radio or a brand new refrigerator or a brand new car, right? So they were using these installment plans or credit. And this is like how I pay a car payment every month. That's an installment plan. I didn't spend $20,000 on a car when I bought it, right? So what I did was I said, yeah, I will pay you a monthly fee every month for me to drive this car, and eventually I'll pay off that payment, right? So this is the idea that rose in the 1920s. So people buy these large, expensive items of the time and sign up for these installment plans. And so when the 1930s roll around, they already have their radio, they already have their refrigerator, they already have their car. People don't need these new products yet. You know, their radio hasn't broken down yet, their refrigerator hasn't gone out yet. They don't need a new car by 1930 because they just bought their car in 1925. So people are no longer buying these items, and the extra money that they do have, they are putting towards paying these installment plans. They don't have money to buy new things because of everything they bought in the 20s. Another thing that contributes to that overproduction is that during the era of prosperity, unskilled workers, so these are just, basic laborers, their wages did not grow significantly at all. So this is a wage increase of about 8 to 9%. And what's important for you to know about that is it's not very much. So you can see here over this time period, wages stay relatively the same. And then they drop in the early 30s during the Great Depression. So this, people are not making money, and they've already bought the big ticket items that they need, so all of these goods start piling up. here you can see the light blue line is personal spending. So this is how much money people are spending, and their income is the darker line. And you can see that income and spending really hit lows in 1932 and 1933. But you can see that spending and income in the late 20s is all the way up here. So this huge decrease contributes to this Great Depression. So then, with all of these goods that are not sold, production is cut back. And when I'm making less cars, I need less employees, or I pay my employees less that I do have. So this leads to people buying even less cars because they're not making money. And then lastly, if you add on that stock market speculation at the very bottom, you know, those people are speculating in the stock market, and eventually it comes back to bite them in the butt. This is really what all of this works together to cause the Great Depression and causes the economy to collapse. So here's an example. So in the 1920s, businesses are making tons of money. They hire more people. Those people make a lot of money, so they buy more stuff. Demand goes up, businesses hire more, people make more money, they're selling more stuff. So this is kind of like the idea of the prosperity of the 1920s. In the 1930s, it's the exact opposite. So businesses are losing money, right? So they fire people or they lower wages. And then people stop making money, so they buy less stuff. And when they buy less stuff, demand goes down, and then you need less workers, and so you can see the cycle here. So to recap, this chart is really good to look at. The Federal Reserve keeps interest rates low, so companies are fooled into borrowing a lot of money and buying a lot more machinery and producing a lot more goods. Eventually they cannot pay this money back because they cannot sell these goods. And because so many goods are not sold, people lose their jobs. And on top of all of that, we've got that stock market speculation that we talked about in the previous video. So here you can see a graph of the unemployment rate in the United States. The highest rate of unemployment during the Great Depression was 25%. So this is 1/4 of all people in the United States. So 21 million people total lost their job, resulting in 25% unemployment. So what you should do now is answer your understanding check questions. Make sure you get that stamp.